Hey, it's Dave Salvadore with Blueline Design. Thanks for coming back for the final part in the series on how to build a maquette. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the painting process that I used, how I built his costume, and stay tuned till the end for the final grand finale reveal of the Headless Horseman maquette. I start off with laying flat colors on the entire sculpture. Pretty much when you're doing flat colors, everything looks bad. Just keep in mind that when you do washes and highlighting later, it will all come to life. For the cobblestones, I quickly dry brush some gray and tan on them to help tie them together. At this stage, if you don't like a certain color, you can just paint right over it. After the flats are done, I use various washes to bring out the details and start to add shading to the model. I use shades on all the metal parts to begin to weather them down. I had some washes left over from my Epic Hero Quest build that I used to grimy and grungy down the cobblestone base. Once the wash is dry, the model is usually very dark, so you begin to use dry brushing to bring out the midtones. I then move around the model and add highlights to everywhere that I think needs to be developed further. But at this point, you're really doing a push and pull. You'll do highlighting, shading, and sometimes even go back and change some of the colors of things. But this is where you begin to really finalize the model and add all those cool little details. With the maquette now painted, I can move on to finishing it up by building the costume elements. I quickly make some paper patterns for the gauntlets and boots to figure out the right size for them. I then transfer the correct shape to the leather, cut it out, and hot glue in a wire so that when I wrap them around the Headless Horseman, it will hold its shape. I wanted a big collar for his cape to really emphasize and bring attention to the neck. The challenge with this was that it had to work with and without the jack-o'-lantern. Moving on to the cape, I wanted a black exterior and a red interior because in the story it talks about his red cape. The tricky part with the cape is that it had to be removable for storage, so I decided on making a peg system out of aluminum tubing that I could plug the cape in and out of the model. Now the idea with the wires was to create almost like a bat wing inside of the fabric so that you could then pose the cape however you wanted it. Both sides of the fabric were sprayed with 77 adhesive spray. I then laid in the wire frame and sandwiched it between the two pieces of fabric. I then used a sea sponge to grimy down the cape with craft paint and also flecked on some texture to give it a weathered look. After it was dry, I used an X-Acto blade to cut out a tattered and torn look to the cape. I wanted him to have a huge flowing cape like the Spawn character. I was really happy with how it turned out. The finishing touch was to add the fall leaves to the base. I printed out on a piece of paper a stencil that I could then cut out with an X-Acto blade. I then painted them with various craft paints and used an ink to do the fine lines. With the finishing touches now added, here is the final maquette.
It is said by some to be the ghost of a Hessian trooper whose head had been carried away by a cannonball.
There you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this series on how to build a maquette. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button, it would really help me to grow my channel. Until next time, keep drawing, keep designing.